Hey, welcome, and thanks for tuning in. Before we get started with this guided experience, I'd just like to share something brief yet important. Since this channel is relatively new, I don't yet have control of any ad settings. This means that it's likely advertisements can randomly play throughout the middle of the video at any time. This kind of interruption can be unsettling no matter what we're watching or tuning into, but it can be particularly unsettling when we're tuning into any kind of meditative or guided experience. Thankfully, if you're subscribing to the YouTube Premium service, your experience will be ad-free. However, if you're tuning in with a free YouTube account, please see the video's description box for other ways to tune into this episode so that an advertisement doesn't interrupt your experience. The options include a podcast platform and a link to a Google Drive folder where I've stored the recordings for free access, listening, and downloading. After the practice, if you've enjoyed your experience, it would help a great deal if you come back to the YouTube channel to like, comment, or subscribe so that I can hopefully gain control of the ad settings in the near future and eventually disable the mid-roll ads completely. Alright, without further ado, let's get started. Hi, this is going to be a quick video on what's commonly known as tapping. It's also known as meridian tapping or EFT tapping. Basically what it is just tapping on the body at predetermined points in order to induce a sense of safety within the nervous system. And so there are many ways, many sequences, many schools of how to tap on the body, where to tap on the body. The one that I'm going to be talking about in this episode is aligned with the modality known as EFT or emotional freedom technique, which was started in the 1990s by a man named Gary Craig. And he's since put emotional freedom technique into the public domain. So now there are many ways of practicing emotional freedom technique, thankfully. So this is the sequence used in emotional freedom technique in EFT, but it's not actually, we're not exploring traditional EFT with this because simply just tapping on the body also has therapeutic benefits. If you're familiar with Qigong or traditional Chinese medicine, this is known as meridian tapping because we're tapping on meridian points. If you're not familiar with Qigong or traditional Chinese medicine, meridian points are simply points on the body where energy tends to accumulate and move along. Meridians are known as energy highways in traditional Chinese medicine. And so all the points, if none of that resonates with you, if you're not into energy or Qigong or traditional Chinese medicine or EFT, what this boils down to is we're simply exploring comfort spots on the body, spots that are naturally comforting. So let me walk us through the points and then I'll explore more of that natural comfort. So the first point is at the eyebrow, the inner eyebrow. So it's like right on the bone, right where your eyebrow would start. You tap there. It's known as the eyebrow point. Then the side of the eye point, it's on the bone, right on the side of the eye. And then the under the eye point on the bone directly beneath the eye. And it's a firm tap, but it's not too firm. I'm not pounding on my face. It's just a gentle, firm tap. And the next point is under the nose. The following point is below the lip. If you have a crease in your chin, it's like right above it's between the crease and the edge of the bottom lip. So tapping there. It's known as the chin point, but it's a little higher than the chin. The next point is the collarbone point. So if you put your forefinger on the collarbone and then the rest of the fingers below that, it's going to touch this point because it's not necessarily the collarbone itself. It's more so that tender area right beneath the collarbone. It often feels tender for most people, so if you rub it, you might feel some tenderness. And so that's the general area. Another point that's not as, it's used sometimes, but not all the time. Got to kind of stand up here. So it's right under the ribs. So just tapping with the palm right under the rib bones. And then the next point is under the arm. For men, it's right in line with the nipple. And for women, I've heard it's generally in line with the bra strap, more or less. And so just tapping there. I like to use an open palm. And then the next point is at the top of the head. Many schools of thought on this. You can tap around the head and wherever feels good. And then another point to really aim for is that like indent in the center, back center of your head. That's a really good point you want to emphasize, and you can go all around the head too. I like to do both. Both feel good for me, and yeah, if I'm of the perspective that if it feels good for my body, I'm gonna do it. So those are the points. I'll go through them again just so we can kind of really ingrain where the points are, because it gets easier as you do more rounds. But I'm going to talk about a few things before that. So going back to those comfort spots that I talked about, those natural comfort spots, whenever we're in distress, like say if we're surprised, right? This is a common motion for surprise. We don't have to do it, but if we're naturally surprised or spooked, we might bring our hands to our face. And so then we're touching that under the eye point, and even touching the chin the upper lip, the chin. Our hands naturally come to these spots. When we're stressed, we're just under so much pressure, we might rub our temples, and that's the side of the eye point. We might also rub our brow, which is the first point, the eyebrow point that we explored. Another way of looking at it is like the under the arm point or the rib point. It's the areas of the body that get touched when we're hugged. The top of the head, when we're relaxed, we're kicking back, we might have our hands on the top of our head. So these are natural points that the body just draws ourselves to, in times of duress, in times of comfort, because they're just natural comfort spots. And so the schools of Qigong, of traditional Chinese medicine, of EFT, they've just systemized these points so that it's easier, because they offer a lot of benefit. But again, you don't have to subscribe to Qigong or traditional Chinese medicine or EFT to practice this and to get benefit from it. It's actually very simple and very powerful, especially when paired with mindfulness and meditation. So the points don't need to be exact. I was going to say EFT, because these terms are often interchangeable. But meridian tapping, it's very forgiving. If you're in the general area, it's going to communicate safety to the body. And these aren't the only points of the body that communicate safety. There are so many points on the body that do this. It's just this sequence that we're going to practice, that we've practiced and will practice in this video. It's an easy route to remember. It touches a lot of parts of the body, and it can be done in most postures. It can be done seated, standing, lying down. So it's very versatile, and very conducive to practicing in most meditations. So that's one reason why it's so accessible. You can tap the points, of course. Again, gentle pressure, firm and gentle. You can also massage any of the points. That can be a nice way to change things up. And the the body also gets messages of safety. Like I'm feeling my body relax more as I'm doing the massage right now, which is making it a little harder to focus. You can tap at any pace that feels comfortable through the points. For example, if I'm sharing tapping in a guided meditation in another episode, you don't have to follow along with my pace. You can go at whatever pace feels good for you. And as you become more comfortable with tapping, you can even just tap on one point for a long time if that feels particularly good for you. So yeah, there's a few more things I can share, but let's do some practice on tapping itself. So again, we'll start at the inner eyebrow point. It's right where the eyebrow starts, on the bone there. Then moving to the side of the eye, on the bone right at the side of the eye. You can use as many fingers as you want. I like to use 2. That feels good for me. I'm tapping below the eye now, the under the eye point, on the bone right below the eye. Moving to the nose point, the under the nose point. And then moving to the chin point, which is again right above the crease of the chin if you have a crease. And then on the collarbone point, making contact with that tender area right below the collarbone. Under the ribs with the open palm. You can even move it around a bit. It's kind of hard to see on the video, but if you want to go all along the underside of the rib. And then under the arm. And up to the top of the head. Again, you can circle around the head. You can tap right in the indent. It's a very good spot to give some attention to. A lot of nerve endings there. And so yeah, I'll say a few more things and we can continue tapping through the points at whatever pace feels comfortable. Maybe noticing any effect it's having on your body. If you're yawning, if you're feeling urges to stretch maybe, that can be a sign of somatic release because the body wants to move. If your body does want to move, please let it move. And yeah, you can switch sides too. It doesn't really matter too much how much you tap on one side. It's pretty, it evens itself out. It's forgiving in that way as well. So yeah, you might switch hands. If you're going through a lot of rounds and one hand's getting tired, you can switch hands and then go through the other side for a while. That's cool. That's all right. You can also tap both at the same time. So going through all the points with both hands. Yeah. And you can change it up. You can explore these again at whatever pace feels good for you. You can even drop the tapping of both hands right in the middle of somewhere. You can spend a lot of time on one point if it's feeling really good. Yeah, there's so many ways to experience this, and it's kind of hard to do it wrong as long as you're, listening to your body and honoring what feels comforting, what feels soothing. Yeah. And take breaks as feels good. So we can take a break now if you've been following along and just getting a sense of how your body might feel different than when we started. Is there presence of tingling somewhere? Has your breath changed pace? Has your breath changed depth maybe? Maybe your breath, does it feel any easier? The answer might be no to all of these questions so far, and that's okay too. Sometimes with these self-soothing practices, they're subtle more at times, and sometimes they're very drastic in the changes that are happening in the body. Like it's clearly evident that relaxation might be more present, or calm might be more present, and other times it's not. That's kind of the beauty of it. And a key piece, maybe I'll make another video on this point in particular because it's so crucial, but a key piece is the consistency of it. Because over time, if our nervous systems have had a long history of being dysregulated, it needs consistency in order to build trust with the sense of safety that tapping and any other self-soothing technique is cultivating within the body. The body needs time to literally rewire the nervous system. And it can happen relatively quickly, but it does need that sense of consistency in order to, again, build that sense of trust within ourselves. Yeah. So, again, you can explore tapping during any of my meditations on this channel. Again, I think I'll mention it multiple times, but if you're operating heavy machinery or driving, please wait until after you're finished before you engage in these kinds of practices. And yeah, I think that's all I want to share on tapping. So thanks for tuning in. I hope this round felt soothing for you, and you can explore it at any time during the guided meditations or even on your own. You can do it before a few rounds before bed when you wake up, just if you have a moment. It's soothing in and of itself. So if you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the comments. I can answer what I'm able to, and if I don't know the answer, if I don't know how to address what you're asking, I can refer you to certified professionals that can. So, hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for tuning in.